Grant grew up in a small town in Ohio. His mother barely made it to the end of the month. His father never tracked his spending. By the time Grant turned 23, he had a job, a credit card, and a bank account he had absolutely no idea what to do with, until one night when he opened up his favorite childhood video game again. That night, staring at the screen, Grant noticed something strange. His in-game character earned XP from every quest, carefully invested each reward into the next skill, and planned every expense like a strategy. In his own life, he was doing the exact opposite. That was the moment Grant asked himself, what if I managed my finances like a game? What is XP, your income in the game? In a classic RPG, a character earns experience points, XP, for every quest completed. These points accumulate, level the character up, unlock new abilities, and make them more powerful in the world. Grant's system worked the same way. His salary, freelance income, and small side earnings, all of it counted as XP. What mattered wasn't the number itself, but how that number was used. Because in an RPG, hoarding XP without spending it means refusing to grow your character. Your salary is your base XP income, steady, predictable, the backbone of your character. Freelance work and side income are bonus quest rewards, risky but high in XP. Passive income works like a background skill running on its own. It earns XP even while you sleep. Once Grant saw it this way, he stopped thinking of his income as a single number and started seeing it as earned power. Every payday was a quest complete screen, and the sound of it echoed in his mind. Mana, the magical power of savings. In many RPGs, mana, magic points, is the most precious resource. It fuels powerful moves in battle, gets you through major challenges, and keeps you ready when it matters most. But mana depletes as you use it. Replenishing it takes time and care. For Grant, savings were exactly that, mana. Every month, he transferred a set percentage of his income into a pool he wouldn't touch, one he left alone to grow. That pool was a shield against emergencies and a source of power for big goals. When his car broke down, he drew from his mana. When the fear of losing his job crept in, having mana kept him calm. An emergency fund is your core mana reserve. It should always be large enough to cover at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. An investment account works like a mana spell that grows over time. Compound interest functions exactly like a passive ability in a game. A goal fund is specialized, mana set aside for a specific purpose, a home, education, travel. Grant's most important rule was this: mana never hits zero. No matter how small the amount, something gets set aside every month. That rule was no different from the RPG player's creed of always staying alive with at least one hit point remaining. Debuffs, the hidden enemies draining your character. Every RPG has its most insidious element, status effects that slowly weaken your character, poison, fatigue, spell disruption. These are called debuffs, invisible, silent, but dealing constant damage. In personal finance, debuffs work exactly the same way. When Grant put them all on paper for the first time, his stomach turned. Unused subscriptions were dealing $127 a month in passive damage. Credit card interest was seeping in at $64 a month like a poison effect. Unplanned shopping hit for $210 in sudden damage. Restaurant and delivery overspending drained another $180. Unoptimized insurance was bleeding an extra $45. The total, $626 a month. Grant froze when he saw that number. $626 a month, roughly $7,500 a year, was silently being pulled from his character. He had never added it up before, because each one looked small on its own. But laid out together as a debuff catalog, the picture was devastating. The most dangerous thing about debuffs is that they stack. A single $10 subscription is nothing, but 8 of them, inflated over time, running unchecked for years, they'll slowly kill your character long before your mana runs out. Budgeting. Drawing the quest map. Traditional budgeting advice says, break your expenses into categories and track them. That's true, but it's boring. and the human dopamine system doesn't sustain boring things. Grant's system was different. At the start of every month, he sat down and drew his budget like a quest map. He split his income across 3 zones. Necessary base expenses, rent, bills, food, took 50%. This was the defense zone. Savings and investments claimed 20%, the character's power source. Entertainment and personal spending got the remaining 30%. Those were the side quests. This structure was a gamified version of the well-known 50-30-20 rule. But Grant didn't think of it as a rule. He thought of it as his character's stat distribution, just like balancing strength, agility, and magic points in an RPG. There was one important difference. The quest map was a flexible document. When an unexpected medical bill showed up one month, Grant didn't panic. He said, "Base budget took damage, side quest fund temporarily suspended," and adjusted the system. The game wasn't over. The current chapter had just gotten harder. The biggest boss of all was lifestyle inflation. Every time Grant got a raise, he was on the verge of falling into the same trap. A bigger apartment, a newer car, fancier restaurants. This is the most powerful enemy in the RPG world. No matter how strong you get, if your spending grows at the same pace, you never make real progress. The solution was simple. Automatically transfer half of every raise directly into the mana reserve. Use the other half to upgrade your quality of life. That way, you enjoy the win, and your character keeps growing. The dopamine system. Why this method actually works. Most traditional budgeting methods fail because the human brain prefers immediate rewards over long-term gains. The instant pleasure of making a purchase almost always overpowers the quiet anxiety of watching a bank balance shrink. Gamification changes that equation. When Grant went a full week without ordering takeout, it felt like a voice in his mind said, "Quest complete, 45 XP earned." Small but real satisfaction. When his savings account hit $1,000, it felt like a new level had unlocked in his head. Making progress visible dramatically increases motivation. A savings curve rising on a graph creates a far stronger emotional response than a dry spreadsheet ever could. That's why Grant set his savings chart as his phone wallpaper. Every morning when he unlocked his screen, he saw his character's stats. Breaking big goals into small, completable quests is equally critical. Not buy a house in 10 years, but get the emergency fund to $500 this month. Every completion triggers a dopamine release and keeps the system running. Leveling up. The road to financial freedom. 8 months after Grant started the system, he said for the first time, "I made it to the end of the month without stress." 18 months in, his emergency fund covered 6 months of expenses. 2 years later, he had opened his first investment account, and the quiet magic of compound interest had begun to work. This wasn't a story about getting rich. Grant hadn't become a millionaire, but his character had grown stronger. The debuffs had been largely cleared, the mana reserve was full, and most importantly, he actually enjoyed playing the game. The heart of the financial RPG system is this. Money management is, at its core, a game of attention and intention. What you pay attention to matters more than what you earn. Once you clarify your intention, once you know what your character is growing toward, decisions become easier, spending becomes deliberate, and saving stops feeling like punishment. Grant's system wasn't perfect. There were bad months, unexpected bosses, times when the mana reserve drained in ways he hadn't seen coming. But the game never ended. Because every good RPG player knows your character doesn't die, your hit points just get low, and every defeat is a lesson packed into the next move. Today, Grant runs a small consulting practice in Ohio. On his office wall hangs an old RPG map, but the names of the cities have been changed. Emergency Fund Valley, Retirement Fortress, Freedom Plateau. The first question he asks every client is always the same. What level is your character at right now? The game never stops. The only question is, are you playing it, or is it playing you?